Hey everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. I have got something that was kind of a gift for me today. Let me show you what we've got going on today. So first things first, if you don't have a handy person around, get one. This guy's handy. He's good to have around. Well, remember that chain fall that was hanging out in a tree? It's hanging up in the barn. Look at this. We got this section of I-beam for free. Technically, yes, it's an I-beam. There's I-beams and H-beams. There's C-channel. This has an actual I shape. He bought several long sections for us to be able to build a bridge. And this is two shorter ones that are welded together. And the guy threw it in for free at no additional money for us. And he just put it off on the side. Figured we'll have a use for it at some point. It's getting to be time that if you're going to be doing any home processing, whether it is deer, or whether it is your beef, your lamb, your pigs, if you want to hang them, just to gut them and skin them, it's convenient to have it as high as you can. Now, we've got some beef that we want to process. I've got a pair of pigs that we want to process. We decided we weren't going to farm it out. We're going to save the money and do it ourselves. And with this way, we are doing it at no cost. The chain fall was a gift from my mom. The I-beam was free included with the other I-beams that we bought. And now, as low as this is going, we'll be able to string up the beef, get it hung, and let him hang here in this cold weather so that he can have the proper hanging time or curing time to get all of that moisture and water content out of the meat. If you don't, you get spongy meat. That's why they hang them. Grass-fed, a little shorter. They say 14 days for a regular beef. And when we have taken our grass-fed beef that have had very little grain in, they say closer 7 to 10 days, kind of depending on the weight. So we've got a big guy we're going to do, maybe 10 days on him. We'll just kind of see what happens. The goal is maybe to get him hung so that we can process him next week. But look at this setup. There is another beam going across the barn, slightly less than halfway across to the outer wall. It's also slightly lower than this beam. So it would kind of work on a teeter-totter, what do you call it, gantry?
The beam further in is higher than right here. But I plug it under so it can pull down and lift up. But that beam is off some other barn. It doesn't match anything in here. And they've got it all tight in. It can't lift. It can't go anywhere. So the more you pull on this, it can't go anywhere. That's it's way in there. That beam is 18 foot long.
Okay.
And I think past that would be maybe a foot. We can hang it out here. That chain fall can go all the way to the middle. This drive floor is 14 feet wide. So I've got it a little over halfway. So you can just kind of slide it, come in and out and do what you need to do. You pull something heavy in with a tractor, set it here, lift it up, have somebody back in with a pickup or trailer, lift it up, and get the tractor out, whatever. Pretty heavy. It says it's 7 by 4 by 366 is the thickness of that beam. 0.366 of an inch thick. So right now I've only got it halfway out past that beam. It's about 3.5 foot out.
So how many pounds is a ton?
2,000.
So the chain fall lift 2,000. Do you think that our biggest cow or cattle is under 2,000?
Biggest one has about 1,000.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
So you can just put a hook on the wall to hold the chain so it doesn't go up or down at all?
Just put a nail. It doesn't really try to fall that bad. If you got it going, it would kind of go. But if you just... When I was pulling that beam up, I hung that chain fall from the wooden beam.
Right.
I kept working that beam up like this, and that's why that straw's missing. I just kept taking it up there at an angle. And
An angle how? How did you get the chain fall up there in the first place? With a ladder?
I carried it up the hay elevator.
You walked up the hay elevator that's out there like a ladder?
With the chain fall in my hand.
Okay, well that's better than...
I moved the straw and got that up in there, and all I was doing, I was hanging this chain and looped it around this rail to that door.
Yeah.
That's all it took.
Okay.
See, it's not trying to.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep, we'll just nail in here, something.
I think a screw and hook so that it goes into that post instead of just the boards.
But it'll be just fine.
Okay.
So nice setup, didn't cost anything. Good weather.
Yeah. There's no wind.
No, hanging 30 degrees every day, 32. So,
Yeah.
right.
Well, good day for climbing the tree to get it out. Good job on that.
Yeah, I climbed up the tree, grabbed the chain ball, lifted it up, unhooked that chain, and then I took a rope and went over the top of the limb and hooked it to the earring.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took that chain out, what was hanging from the tree, hung it from the rope, then got down on the ground and let the chain fall down to the ground with the rope because the ladder wasn't even strong enough for me.
Right, because those ladders are rated for like,
I'm
what,
way over the
220?
I'm way heavier than it's rated for. I was bending the aluminum ladder, and then so I lowered this down with a rope, and it was way better.
Okay, let me come down.
I think I put that chain fall up in that tree with the little giant because it was so heavy with me with it.
You used the crappy ladder and you were bouncing all over the place, I remember. Because I remember thinking you should stand on a truck.
So now it's inside.
Well, and I was originally thinking about loading up the manure spreader with this hay. I'm going to slip down this ladder here. Most of our barn ladders are these old wooden ladders that either came with a place or we picked up at an auction. I can smell the dust burning off the light bulbs. They haven't been used in about, 4 or 5 days. So this loft is much lower than this loft. And originally what we were thinking of doing is just putting the beam across the two and raising up this side with a little bit of framework. And I was thinking, how can it possibly hold the weight of the beam plus the animal?
Make a big, like a
Yeah.
beam just like that and go off and stop, and then make framework going about 3 different ways to just hold it.
Uh-huh.
But then I stood here and thought about it for a while and figured out something better.
That was smart. So, like, this ladder came from an auction. I went up it. It's bouncy as heck. This one got backed into because it's just in a bad spot. It's always been here since we bought the farm. It's a shame that we smashed it, but it's tied up with a rope. At least now the kids can't grab onto it and climb up, but we'll hook up another set of lights maybe up higher. Redirect some. So I'll show you guys once we start doing some processing how it's going to all come about and how we're going to use it. I've noticed a few channels lately getting endorsements by Milwaukee, and I'll tell you something, I don't get paid by Milwaukee to say this. I don't have enough subscribers to get paid for these kinds of things, but my husband has had this Milwaukee Sawzall that he got as a Christmas gift for many years. We've probably had this, I don't know, 10 or 15 years, maybe longer. I have a meat saw that by hand, back and forth sawing. For this, I picked him up a Diablo pruning blade for going down the spine. You can see here I started trying to cut through, and that saw is just so hard to get through this tailbone and everything that it's just a lot faster and easier. I actually was bending my hand saw blade trying to do this, and I was migrating into the meat. So I remembered about this and I went and got it. I initially thought I had my cordless Ryobi saw and it's at the workhouse. And I remembered with an extension cord I can do that. And I'll tell you, one of the hardest things I've had to do is he left intact all the male parts, and trying to cut all that out was so hard. So we're going to get up above this and start cutting it out. I start using power tools. I got a little splatter in my face. I don't want to get a bone shard in my eye. So I'm going to go get those safety glasses. All right, I got my Stanley eye safety. I got these Howard Leite or Light. It's L-E-I-G-H-T. These are called laser light earplugs. And I usually don't like these kind because they don't stay in my ear canal very well. I have the hardest time with things like this. I'm just not used to ear things, and I have a hard time with headphones too. They always pinch me. So you're supposed to squeeze them and roll them a little bit before you insert them into your ear. And that's the thing that I always have a hard time, is that I get so much more noise. So then you just hold it there and let it expand back into your ear. I think I have short eardrums or ear canals because every time I've ever had any doctor exams, they ram that thing into my ear so deep. I hate it. So I'll let you know how these do. Ooh, I can hear it expanding in my ear. Now don't forget your ladder safety. As I'm rocking a 2,000-pound cattle pole into my ladder, it's a 250-pound weight limit on this Werner ladder, and this is something we stole from my father-in-law. He left it here for something. Now it's mine. Now I'm wondering which way it's easier to work. That seems to have gotten me through the top section. I'll climb back up a little higher and check. Now this whole whistle tree is on. Now I went off center again. I'm down into my first cut. It just starts migrating and it's so hard to tell. Alright, I gotta pick up a spot here. Wouldn't be a bad job to do with a little giant. You know, have you ever heard of oxtail soup? This is where it comes from. You've got this whole end section, and it's just a lot easier to use that for a soup bone than to try to cut through it. Might as well just match what I already got into. Alright. You'd think with as many people as in this family, I could get somebody out here to hold this. This up close. It's not like the meat saw, but there's a lot of meat on this, but you can see I got some bone shard, so I'll rinse this off to make sure that we're not packaging that in there. But this is a real good time to set up your work table out here. I use these bus bins. This is what they use in the restaurant business for taking your dirty dishes away from the table or for carrying things back and forth. They work really good in walk-in refrigerators and storage. I picked this up from working in the restaurant business for a couple of years and cut off what you can, carry it into the house for packaging. Today, my only goal is to get this in half and to let it finish hanging. That hanging process lets all the water in the meat dehydrate out of it. As with anything, use what you got. Our first year doing this, we were using laundry baskets to transport the meat in and out, and that was handy. It worked really great. These are food grade. Do what you have. If you've got plastic storage containers in the basement that maybe have some clothes in them, maybe dump them out, wash them, use them for the process. I just want to give you as many tips as I can to help you, because I know a lot of people this time of year are not wanting to go into winter with their livestock. So if you've got small animals like pork, sheep, goats, chickens, this is a good time to get things processed. It's a warm day today. That's not going to hurt the meat. In general, a day or two of a warm day isn't going to hurt it because it's still so cold at night. Now, it didn't freeze last night. It was 36. Up to about 40, I think the book said, is a good temperature for your hanging. And we've been having that. Freezing at night, 40 in the day, a little higher. The barn stays cold with the door open. I did have to open it up today for a little bit of light. My glasses are a little bit dirty and dusty. That last job I used them for, they didn't get cleaned. Alright, so back up there, now I can get that spine. Split right down from top to bottom. It says to leave some of the neck tissue together in the book. I figure as meaty as his neck is, it might be better to go ahead and have it all the way down. And the reason is more surface for all of that water to escape from. And really, the way we have worked this out with the skinning process, he started to help me and had to go to work. It is a super busy fuel hauling season. The farmers are trying to get the last of their crops out. Most of the farmers in our area are trying to be done for the Thanksgiving week so they can take a day off. The neighbor just went by with his fertilizer wagon. He has been harvesting and then going back and fertilizing. We're supposed to get a rain in a couple of days, so we're out getting hay out of the field right now. That's why I'm doing this on my own. He's out there with the hay rake. A lot of farmers in our region don't have hay in their barns to feed their cattle, and it's a shame to have to send them to slaughter early. But sometimes that's just the case of things, that you don't have the feed to feed them during the winter. This was our bull, and he was getting too old, too mean. He was having a harder time kind of walking around. So we figured it's best for him to go, because we can't really use him for breeding at this point, because all of our female cows are from him for 2 or 3 generations. So it's just best to bring in a new bull. We do have 2 bulls here. One is his son. Another one is totally unrelated from another farm. Not really great genetics in that one, so we're going to want to get something of a beef line to do that, or just to bring in outside animals from another farmer that we know. I don't know if we're going to want to keep breeding the cows or not. It's always just kind of iffy, what do you want to do? What do you want to plan? We're always looking ahead, so let's get this guy split. All in all, it was just his time to go. Now, if you don't have like a work table, like what I was talking about we have inside also with the stainless steel table, I won't show all the butchering from start to finish probably, because I did show that last year. You can pull up into our playlist of homesteading to see that. You can lay out some hay bales for a comfortable height for you to work at. Put down a tarp or put down a sheet of plywood and then a tarp, and just work on quartering your animal. They say it's best in all the butchering books to get your animal halved for the hanging time and let it hang for anywhere from 7 to 14 days on average, less if it is grass-fed or less grain-fed. Like for us, he was getting a little rye and some oats in the last few weeks, but he's been off corn for quite some time. So his hanging time is going to be a little less. It won't be 14 days. But we did get the bottom half skinned at a different time than the top half, so there's going to be a couple days difference. But there's going to be a couple days difference in me processing it in the house. I found a quarter at a time is generally good for me, a quarter a day. So, 1 quarter one day, another quarter another day, it'll get all wrapped and put in the freezer. So he'll hang for a couple more days before I go off and start quartering him into sections. And that's where the single tree comes into play. Each hoof is attached up there in the chains, and I'll go up there and show you before it gets dark. And it's going to be fully suspended from there. So I can take off a quarter and work on it in the house with it still hanging out here. One thing I don't have is the upper body strength and the weight on top to pull that thing down. And the vibration starts hurting your hands. But it's going faster than it would go with a handsaw. And I'm getting a lot of vibrations off of this. Here's the meat saw that we picked up. We got this at a local sporting goods store, and this is for processing any of your hunting game. It does okay, but I noticed when I was cutting the head off that it was kind of bending a bit on me, and I think I permanently bent it a little bit now, so I don't know if I can straighten it out or work on it, but this neck is so meaty. It's kind of vibrating and bouncing a lot, so I'm going to see if this will work at all. These do come in 2 different lengths, but because our pigs are always so big when we butcher them, I didn't want the shorter one. It was probably 3 to 4 inches shorter maybe. Get the big one. That's what he always does. I try to do it right. I feel like I'm fighting too much. So much meat in there and good stuff. Goodness. But here, you can't even feel the bone. It's so meaty. Oh. Alright, I'm going to grab a ridiculously long knife. I left all my other knives in the house because I took them in to wash them up and sharpen them. Beautiful meat. Gotta take this one and sharpen too. I didn't use it, so I thought it was okay. Alright. I'm going to take a break. I need some water, and I think about a better knife. I'm getting down into the neck muscles and the bones. Bad. It's thick. Right, it took a lot of work, but I used my incredibly long knife that was not too short at all to get through there. Look at how much meat is in there, how thick all this is. So that's the 2 halves, totally separated. I had to get through all that neck because the way he had done it, I had to get through the esophagus. You know, if you don't have the patience, you can see where I was going through the spine. Go next to the spine. That's how he's always done it. I got a lot of finely cut bone fragments that I'm going to have to rinse off to work on that area. I'm not using it, so it's not a huge deal, but you could use that spine all for soup bones. There's a lot of good small bits of meat, but yeah, 12 inches, that was not getting through the backbone and the breastbone at the same time. And I was kind of working on a time schedule here because it was getting dark in the barn already. So let's go on up to the loft and I'll show you how he's got that system all hooked up. And now this can finish hanging because that middle section is as wet and messy as the day we first started. And if you're wondering about this stuff, my mom had small animals. We had some geese and we had rabbits out at our country house when I was a very little girl. But this is what I have learned most of my stuff from. And I'll put a link to this in the description. I've done it before. It's a real good book. It's not so basic that you don't know, and it's not super detailed either. These are my Kevlar gloves, and you should wear these when you're handling the knives because it can save you the loss of a finger. Hi! Now I'm going to cheat. This is the cheater way of getting up to the loft. This is very dangerous, and I don't recommend doing it. What he said. Now somewhere, yeah, my light cord's way over there, and I don't have an extension cord to get to it, but isn't this pretty? All right. Okay, so here's my beam right here, and right over there is the chain fall. I don't know how well you'll be able to see all this. And, you know, we're still like an hour or so from dark, but it's just hard up here in the barn in the dark without a lot of light. Right there, the way this is hanging, it's putting pressure, like on a, like I said before, like on a teeter-totter or fulcrum, I think they call it, where it is putting the pressure on this beam. He's got it chained up there so it can't slide or go anywhere. He blocked it up right here on both sides of the beam so that it can't shift one way or another. And then if we need to, we can pull that chain fall in or out depending on what's going on. So like our stack wagon is a 14-foot high, I believe. So when we tip it, we need a good, 16 to 18 feet to tip it, to unload it. Real handy to have so that we can pull this all in. And because it's not sitting there permanently, he can even slide the I-beam in to this other end of the barn and have it sitting here. As you can see, I still have an empty loft over there on that side. I'm coming, George! I'm coming! Hey-yo! So this was my last chance if he's going to move this hay elevator to climb up there. Since none of my ladders extend up high enough for my comfort level, this was better and more comfortable for me. Come here, baby. Okay. So sometimes you just got to do what's got to get done. And if you hear that diesel engine running in the background, the fuel truck just got fired up because he swapped his work schedule with his farm schedule today. So that now he's off to take care of that, and I am off to finish my cleanup. Right up there is where I put that tailbone that I gotta take in for oxtail soup. Not actually a tail. And we're all done here. So, time to clean up. I totally wrecked my gloves because I wasn't using my Kevlar gloves. Hello, Georgie says hi. Yeah. Hello.
Say hi. Hello.
Good job. You like to say hi to people? He'll love seeing this on the computer again later, I tell you. He likes to watch over while I am doing my editing when it's his nap time. And it's about his nap time now. So, kisses. Yeah. Kisses for me and hugs. What a good baby. So I'm going to go enjoy some cuddle time with him and get all this washed up and cleaned up. We'll see you all next time. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. It really helps with the rankings on YouTube so that more people can see this information as suggested video.
Oh, yay!
We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.